Deep oceans and sediment-choked rivers are practically pitch black. When an environment strips away sunlight, apex predators are left completely blind, making it incredibly difficult to track perfectly camouflaged prey. But perfect visual camouflage has a biological flaw. Every living organism in the water constantly broadcasts its exact location by leaking a faint, invisible electrical field into the surrounding environment. This animation shows how those signals propagate. Inside a prey animal, nerves fire, gills pump, and muscles contract. Even a simple beating heart pushes a continuous, rhythmic electrical pulse out into the conductive water. Humans have no biological hardware to sense this voltage. We look at muddy water, seeing nothing. But millions of years of evolution engineered predators with specialized equipment to read this exact matrix. Take a close look at the snout of a shark. Right above the mouth, the skin is peppered with hundreds of tiny, distinct pores. These pores are the openings to the ampullae of Lorenzini. They are a network of jelly-filled canals sitting just beneath the skin. The highly conductive jelly carries outside electrical currents directly down to internal nerve cells, acting exactly like biological antennae. This anatomical hardware grants the shark a sense called passive electrolocation. When a flounder buries itself completely under the ocean floor, the shark doesn't see it, hear it, or smell it. It physically feels the voltage of the flounder's heartbeat. Passively eavesdropping on the electrical noise of prey provides a massive hunting advantage. But biology didn't stop at merely listening to the environment. If feeling an electrical pulse makes a predator lethal, an entirely different set of rules applies if an animal learns to actively project its own signals. This diagram shows an elephant fish emitting a weak electrical field to map its surroundings. Above, a conductive plant concentrates the field lines. Below, a non-conductive stone does the exact opposite, forcing the field to spread out and deflect. The fish has effectively built a biological radar system, using voltage to illuminate a pitch-black world. Active fields introduce a major ecological problem. When two electric fish swim past each other, their fields overlap and cross, creating a wave interference pattern that essentially blinds them both. This animated diagram illustrates how they solve it through the jamming avoidance response. Within milliseconds of detecting a competing frequency, one fish automatically shifts its electrical pitch up or down, moving out of phase to keep its sensory channel clear. Over time, this ability to modulate frequencies gained new functions. Fish use rhythms to attract mates, to claim their territory, and to bluff predators, by mimicking much more dangerous species. The electric field evolved into a clouded communication network, an invisible battlefield of signaling and espionage right beneath the surface. A discharge of less than a single volt provides high-fidelity active radar. Scaling up the power output yields a completely different physical outcome. The electric eel represents the absolute peak of this evolutionary escalation. It generates massive, paralyzing shocks that can exceed 800 volts. The eel achieves this using electrocytes. These are specialized muscle cells functioning as biological batteries. By stacking thousands of these cells in series along the entire length of its body, the eel multiplies its internal voltage into a massive outward charge. This physiology perfectly matches the environment through impedance matching. Freshwater offers high electrical resistance, so eels deploy extreme voltage to punch through it. Marine electric rays live in highly conductive saltwater, so they evolved to deliver low voltage with a massive, stunning current. This final escalation transformed a delicate sensory tool into a devastating biological weapon, allowing a few select species to completely dominate their ecosystems. Sensing and manipulating electricity is not an isolated genetic anomaly restricted to a few obscure species of fish. This diagram maps out the biological family tree to illustrate convergent evolution. Nature has independently invented electric organs and electroreceptors at least 8 separate times across completely unconnected branches of life. The ability even crossed over into mammals. The platypus possesses 40,000 electroreceptors arranged along its bill. As it swims through murky rivers, it makes rapid side-to-side head movements to sweep the mud for the electrical signatures of its prey. Even terrestrial insects utilize the spectrum. Bees use tiny mechanoreceptors to read the static electrical charges left on flowers by previous visitors, mapping out nectar supplies through voltage. Nature continually reinvents the electric sense because harnessing the invisible signals of a dark environment offers an insurmountable survival advantage. From a shark passively feeling the faint rhythm of a buried heartbeat to an eel discharging enough voltage to drop a predator instantly, the control of electricity spans a massive biological spectrum. Humans only managed to harness and control electrical currents a few centuries ago. Our entire modern grid is a recent invention. Millions of years before we laid our first wire, biology had already figured out how to see, speak, and strike using the power of electricity.